What's up, Ranger Nation? It's your boy JB, and I'm here today with the review for Power Rangers Beast Morphers. This is episode number 6. This is titled Hangar Heist. So yeah, I'm sounding a little nasally because unfortunately my allergies are getting the best of me right now. Actually for the last 2 days I haven't been feeling the best. Thursday I woke up, went to work, had a fever, had to come home. Yesterday felt a little bit better, just having a runny nose, and I still have a runny nose today. And it's also stuffed up a little bit. So I'm a little congested, but we are definitely gonna get through this without a hitch. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right into the episode. All right, so the episode opens up when we see Nate. He's in the underground hangar that they were in last week, where they had the Gigadrone there. And we see Devin, and Devin is talking to Nate. So, Nate has said that, he was talking in kind of like Billy speak about what he, the information that he found from the Gigadrone, but then he kind of had to say, think about it, hey, everybody doesn't talk the way that I talk or know the knowledge of things that I know. So he had to say, in layman's terms, that, with that Gigadrone, he would be able to develop, technology that would be able to warn them when the Gigadrone enters Earth, which I think that's pretty cool. Kind of like how on Power Rangers Samurai, they had the gap sensors when a Nihilot crossed over into the human world, and the gap sensor would go off. That's kind of cool. What I've always wondered in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, how did Zordon know that a monster? I mean, because we know the sirens went off in the command center, but we never really knew how he knew when a monster actually, landed on Earth. But that's what Nate has done. So Devin is trying to get some Morphex energy so he can power up this rocket that he's trying to fly. So then we see the Rangers along with Ben and Betty. They are outside of the hangar, and they're flying their rockets. So Ravi goes first, and his takes off without a hitch, and he gives a big shout out. He's like, Nasada, here I come. And I'm like, wow. Actually, somebody had to point that out on this app that I use about the Nasada thing, and because I didn't even hear that. It's so funny that he mentions Nasada, because that's actually the season that I'm currently watching on DVD. Is Power Rangers in Space. It's Power Rangers in Space first, and then I'm going to Lost Galaxy. If you guys don't know, those are my two favorite seasons of all time. Well, put it this way, those are my two favorite seasons in the original Saban era. One day I'm gonna do a video about my favorite seasons in the original Saban era. Then I'm gonna do the Disney era, and then I'm gonna do the Neo Saban era. And unfortunately, I can't do anything with the Hasbro era because we just have Beast Morphers. So like I said, one day I'm gonna get more in depth with Power Rangers stuff going forward. I have a lot of things that I want to talk about, like my favorite Rangers, my favorite African American Rangers, since I am African American, my favorite team ups, my favorite theme songs, my favorite villains, by era, whatever. I'm also thinking about doing non-Power Ranger stuff as well. And when I say non-Power Ranger stuff, I'm not sure if anybody would be interested in it, but talk about like Big Bad Beetleborgs Metallics, Mystic Knights of Tirnanog, The Masked Rider, whatever shows came on, like any other shows that came on Fox Kids in the 90s, that kind of stuff. VR Troopers, any other things, any of those stuff like that. And basically, I'll talk about that, anything superhero related. If you guys do not know, I currently do reviews of Cloak and Dagger, so you can also check that out. So yeah, that's where we're going with this channel. But back to the show. So yeah, Ravi shouted out Nasada. So then we see Devin. So Devin goes to put his. Well, actually, we go back. Ben and Betty put their rocket on. So Ben and Betty lifted off their rocket. But their rocket didn't go straight up. Their rocket went up, and it came, flew past them. Then it turned around and it came after them, and they started running from it, and then it kept chasing them, and at that point, it just flew away. So then Devin goes and puts his rocket on the pad, and, Ravi's like, is that thing gonna do what it's supposed to do? He's like, because he was just questioning, the design. Basically, he was questioning the design of Devin's rocket. But, Devin got so upset because, he knows about rockets and everything, which, okay, that's fine that you know about it. But, sometimes somebody might know a little bit more than you do. And it's always okay to, say, it's always okay to take constructive criticism. because that's a part of growing and learning as a human being. You don't get offended when someone gives you criticism. You take it. You might not use it, but like listen to them, and then if it's something that you think maybe I can use, then use it. If it's not, no harm, no foul. But Devin, he got upset. So then he did lift off his rocket, and when he lifted his rocket off, boom, splat, it came right back down. So Ravi was correct. So Devin should have listened to Ravi a little bit. Again, it's not hard. It's not hard to take constructive criticism. You just take it. Whether you use it or not, listen to it. What's the worst that could happen? In Devin's case, your rocket goes splash. All right, so then over in the cyber dimension, we got Evox. Evox, he is completely pissed at, Roxy and forget Roxy. He's mad at Blaze because you guys remember last week's episode, Devin came up with the idea to capture the Gigadrone so that they can learn information from the Gigadrone. So Evox is upset, like, they have one of our Gigadrones. They can do whatever they want. They can learn information about us. Like, you completely screwed up. So he blasts Blaze, and I'm like, wow. You thought that Blaze and Roxy were his golden children, his favorites, but here he is blasting Blaze. So the tides are shifting a little bit in the hierarchy of evil. Like, Evox is mad at his number one and number two. Would you consider them number one and two? I guess you would. But who is the number one and number two? Would Blaze be number one and Roxy be number two? That's a good question. Actually, I feel like when it comes to number one and number two, and even number three, it's basically who can help Evox the most in the day. If you can do whatever Evox needs done in that day, you're his number one. If you can't, you get bumped down to number two and number three. So yeah. So then, he tells them, I need you guys to go back to Earth and get the Gigadrone before they can get any kind of information from that Gigadrone. I don't want them to have any kind of knowledge of what we can do, or, well, they really can't do very much at this point, but they are very effective in what they do. That I will say. They're effective. They're not like evil villains of the past who, they're sending their monsters down there. The monsters just get immediately defeated. These monsters are actually giving the Rangers a run for their money. Kind of like in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, in Mighty Morphin, actually, the original Saban era, some of those monsters gave the Rangers a run for their money where they had to retreat back to the command center. So, cool. I really do thoroughly enjoy Beast Morphers. It's actually well written and it's really good. So I'm excited to see what plays out in season number 2 of Beast Morphers. But we're not there yet. We're not even at the hiatus point. We're just enjoying the ride while we're on it. All right, so then we have the Rangers. They are at Grid Battle Force, and Nate has them hooked up to this simulation device. And the simulation device, they're battling a Gigadrone. And what the purpose is, they're trying to form the Beast X Megazord. So, Devin, he's like, follow my lead. And Ravi is like, Ravi is trying to give a little pushback, like, hey, maybe we should do this instead of doing that. But Devin is like, again, I'm the leader, follow my lead. But with them following Devin's lead, it leads to disaster because Devin thought that they were ready to form the Megazord, but they weren't because the monster blasted them, and that ended the simulation. And Devin just got upset. Now, watching this scene, because I saw this scene earlier this week when they released the the little teaser for the episode. I was like, oh my god, this like gives me Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue vibes, like on the episode Rise Their Super Demon when Miss Fairweather had the Rangers doing a simulation of the Life Force Megazord, which was only used in one episode. Interesting. I wonder why did they create the Life Force Megazord? Because it was literally used to defeat Diabolico and Olympius. But then in the next episode, it was used by the Batlings to destroy the Aquabase. So I don't really understand what the purpose of the Life Force Megazord was. Interesting. still interesting. And it also gave me vibes of Patterns RPM. I don't remember the episode name, but it was the episode where the Rangers were trying to combine all the Megazords, the Skyrev Megazord, the Valvemax Megazord, and the High Octane Megazord to combine to one. When Jim and Gemma, they were off, having a good time, and the Zords, came together and knocked each other out. So when Devin got so upset, Devin left. So then Commander Shaw goes behind Devin, and she's like, this is not like you. Like, he's like, basically he's a leader. He knows what he's doing. Like, they should have listened to him. And Commander Shaw just said to Devin what I just said. There might be, you're the leader, and your instincts are typically good, but you are a team, and your teammates' instincts might be a little bit better than what yours are, and you might need to incorporate that. Because what it is Ravi had ran this simulation multiple times with Blaze and Roxy. So that was another reason why Devin got upset. So he's saying, oh, you're saying I'm not good enough? And it's not that he's saying you're not good enough. It's just saying, hey, I've done this before. Maybe we can try it your way, but also incorporate what I'm used to. And maybe things will work, maybe things will, mesh well, gel well together. But Devin just not trying to hear that. And again, it goes back to constructive criticism. Listen to it, take it, absorb it. If it's not something that you can use, that's absolutely fine. If it's something that you can use, if it's something that you can't use, I think I just twisted my words. If it is something that you can use, that's good. If it's not, no foul, no harm. Like, I don't know why he got upset. All right, so then next we see Ben and Betty. Ben and Betty are back by the hangar, and they're still looking for their dad's rocket. But they do eventually find their dad's rocket. But they also found something else. So when they found the rocket, they could overhear a voice, and it was Roxy's voice. So Roxy has found the the underground hangar, and she calls Scrozzle, and she's like, I need something to get into this hangar so that I could get to the Gigadrone and either get it back to us or have it destroy the Rangers. So then we see Ben. He calls Commander Shaw. He tells Commander Shaw, send in the Rangers. So then it goes to commercial and comes back. So then Ben and Betty, they try to sneak away, which I don't know where they thought they were going to sneak away to. And Roxy, she sees them, and then she shoots at the rocket, and it powers the rocket up, which flies off, taking Ben and Betty with it. So then we get the Rangers. They show up, and before that, a Gigadrone. No, not a Gigadrone. What are they called? I forget what they're called, and I say it every week. But the monster, his name is Meltadrone. So he shows up, and he melts the door so they can get in there. I'm like, that is a metal door. What kind of solution was that in there that he melted it down with? But it's a kid's show. It's a kid's show, so I'm just gonna let that go, because that door was metal, and he just had a solution that sprayed it and it melted it down. Not even fire could melt the door. Like, you would have to have like the jaws of life and stuff to slice, to, again, not gonna go there. We're just gonna let it go. So the Rangers do show up. So then Roxy, she goes in the hangar, and what she's doing is she's filling the Gigadrone Slicer Drone with Morphix energy so that it can power itself back up and ultimately take out the Rangers. So then the Rangers go in there, and they intercept both of them, and Meltadrone, he sprays at them, and they hide behind a metal table, which the metal table melted as well. Shut up. I'm just gonna shut up. So then the Rangers morph, and then they start to fight with, and then, Slicer Drone, he starts himself up, and he blasts and stuff. And then, Roxy, she, whatever those tentacle things are that she has, she wraps them around the Rangers, and, she shackles him, whatever you want to say. So she sets a detonation, I think it was a detonation device, or it might have been just a closing device of the, the hangar itself. So then she leaves, leaving Meltodrome there to fight the Rangers. So then, Ravi, he uses his gorilla strength to free themselves. We're going to say chains, although they're not chains. Free themselves from the chains that Roxy put them in. So then he takes Devin, and as the door is getting ready to close, he throws Devin outside of the door. And Devin is like, yo, why did you just throw me out? Like, I can't help you outside of here. And Ravi is like, you can't help us in here either. What we need you to do is take your Zord, because it has the strength and you have the speed and the skills to open up the top of the hangar so we can get out of here. So then Devin, he gets on his motorcycle, and he goes. So then, we see Ravi and Zoe. They are fighting with Meltodrone, and then Scrozzle appears out of nowhere. And Scrozzle, he starts stealing stuff from, the hangar. And then he notices the robot head of, is it Beatstack J? I didn't watch, I watched like the first episode of Go Buster, but I never did finish it, which I probably should go back and finish that season. So he steals that, and like I said, they're still fighting with Meltodrome. So then they blast him, and then they notice that Scrozzle is there, and Scrozzle basically just says, "Deuces, I'm taking your stuff. You ain't getting it back." So then Devin, he's in his Zord, and he transforms it into fighting mode. So then he goes and he tries to open the hangar, and as he does that, that's when actually Scrouse goes back to the cyber dimension, and he tells Roxy, "Hey, there's only 2 Rangers in there." She's like, "What? 2? Send down another Gigadrome." So they send the Gigadrome, and that intercepts him. And then, Ravi calls for, not Ravi, but Devin calls for backup. And Commander Shaw tells, Jax and Smash, go to your Zords and go help him. So they do that. So then, the Gigadrome fully wakes itself up, and he's blasting at Zoe and, Ravi. Oh, and also, this Meltodrome, he melts down, Devin's sword. You guys, I'm reading notes off my phone. So then we do see that, Ravi and Zoe are able to free themselves, but at the same time, the Slicer Drone, he's freed as well. So then we see the Rangers, they combine the Beast X and Megazord. So it's kind of interesting to see that even in the Megazord cockpit, I thought that maybe the the Cheetah Beast Blaster would be just exclusive to Devin's own Zord by itself, but it's exclusive to the Beast X Megazord, and it also uses the Final Strike, which that is really confusing. So you have a sword that slashes, but then you have a Cheetah Beast Blaster that blasts. Okay, I'll take it. I'm not gonna knock it, but it doesn't really make a lot of sense to have a blaster slash with a sword. Okay, cool. Alright, so back in the cyber dimension, we got Evox. Evox is going off on Blaze and Roxy because they completely messed up the whole mission. He was like, "You call that a mission?" They, yeah, they don't have the Gigadron anymore, but it has been destroyed. Like, I don't call that a mission. He says, they were able to create a Megazord. Like, I want you guys to figure out how to take that Megazord out. But they're like, "Oh, Grid Battle Force, they won't be able to, mine any data at this point," but you're a little bit too late, because you really don't know what Nate has already learned at this point. So Evox is like completely mad at them. So then Scrouse was like, "You know what? I have something, Master Evox. I was able to take stuff to build that thing that we talked about." And they're like, "What are you talking about?" And Scrozzle, he is loving, the fact that he is doing better than Blaze and Roxy at this point. So, he gets into it with, Blaze, and Evox stands up, he slithers up basically, and, tells them to back down basically. I'm like, wow. is just like I said earlier. Number one is going to always be who can help Evox the most. If you can't help Evox, you're not used to him. And watching that scene with Evox go off on Blaze and Roxy, it kind of reminds me of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers through Power Rangers Zeo. Like when Rita's monsters would be destroyed, well, she would always talk about how she had such a headache, but she would always, she would either beat up Squat or Babu or Goldar or Fenster, so she would get mad at that. And then it also reminds me of Lord Zed when he would, get red and he would go off on Goldar. And then it also, like in Power Rangers Zeo, when King Mondo will go off on Clank and Orbis. So yeah, it just really, this season gives you nostalgic vibes to past seasons, and then they give nods to past seasons, which I love that as well. So and then lastly, you guys, the Rangers, Zoe is by the old hangar, and she has Ben and Betty, and they're blindfolded. And then she takes the blindfolds off, and what has happened is they have fixed, they fixed their dad's rocket, and it was both Devin and Ravi who fixed it. So Devin does apologize to Ravi for not listening to him in the beginning, and he says, going forward he'll do better about it. Which that's all it is. Just listen. If it doesn't help you, there's nothing. No harm was done. And if it does help you, kudos to that person who helped you. But you guys, that was the episode. Like the video, leave your comments, subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys later. So I say this every week that I might do a Ranger talk. I am going to do a Ranger talk. I just don't know when. But we're going to get back to doing it. I know for sure you guys will get Keisha Ryu's Sentai Ryu Soldier. That might be, if it's up tomorrow like it was last Sunday, it might be up earlier than it was this past week. But until then, you guys, see you later, Ranger Nation.